Welcome to Rooted in Reason podcast,
Yeah.
where faith meets thoughtful inquiry.
Yes.
We're tackling a pretty massive question this season.
Yeah.
Does God exist?
It's a big one.
It is a big one. Last time we looked at it from a science angle,
Right.
but this time, get ready to fire up those brain cells because we're diving into philosophy with episode 4. Wait. So Saturn is how old? Is infinity just a big lie?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
So it's a question that has puzzled people for ages.
Yeah.
The idea of forever is a lot to wrap your head around.
Right. Like, picture this. You've got this massive birthday cake,
Okay.
but it's been around forever.
Whoa.
No one baked it.
Yeah.
No candles to blow out. It's just, I guess.
Mhm.
Some philosophers actually believe that's how the universe is, eternally existing.
Yep. That's what some folks like Aristotle thought.
Right.
But then comes this philosopher named Al-Ghazali, who throws a wrench in the whole eternal universe idea.
Okay.
He asks if the universe always existed. Wouldn't that mean there'd be an infinite number of, say, Tuesdays?
Whoa, Infinite Tuesdays.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Taco Tuesday.
I know, right?
But seriously, what's the problem with that?
Ghazali argued that an actual real-life infinity creates some pretty crazy scenarios to help us understand.
Yeah.
Let's imagine something called Hilbert's Hotel.
Hilbert's Hotel.
Hilbert's Hotel.
Sounds fancy.
It is very fancy.
Is there a pool?
Maybe an infinite one.
Wait.
But here's the deal. This hotel has infinite rooms.
Okay.
And get this, it's always full.
What?
Every single room taken.
Okay, so no chance of scoring a last-minute reservation.
Not a chance.
How's that even possible?
Here's where it gets wild.
Okay.
Let's say a new guest shows up. You'd think, tough luck, buddy. No room for you.
Yeah.
But in Hilbert's Hotel, there's always a room.
What?
They just shift everyone down one.
Okay.
The guest in room 1 goes to room 2, room 2 to room 3, and so on, forever.
Whoa.
Boom, room 1 is open.
Hold on. That's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic
Right.
with an infinite number of deck chairs.
Exactly.
That doesn't really solve the problem, does it?
Exactly. That's Ghazali's point. Real-life infinity leads to these mind-boggling scenarios that don't make sense.
Okay.
But it gets even weirder.
Oh, no.
Imagine a whole galaxy full of new guests shows up.
No, that's just ridiculous.
I don't know.
Where would you even put them?
No sweat. In Hilbert's Hotel, they just move everyone to a room, double their current number.
Okay.
Room 1 goes to 2, room 2 to 4, and so on. All the even-numbered rooms are now taken,
Right.
but all the odd-numbered rooms are free.
Okay. I think my brain just did a backflip.
Yeah.
So how does this crazy hotel apply to the universe?
Think of each room as an event in the past.
Okay.
If the universe has always existed, you've got infinite event rooms, all full.
Right.
But then how did we get to today?
Yeah.
It's like asking how you'd ever reach the last room in a hotel with infinite rooms.
Well-
You can't.
You can't.
An infinite past
Yeah.
doesn't lead to a present moment.
Okay.
Ghazali highlights this problem to show that maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't actually eternal.
So Ghazali is saying that if the past is truly infinite,
Yeah,
we'd never actually reach today.
right.
It's like a hamster wheel of history just spinning forever.
Precisely.
Right.
An infinite past doesn't lead to a present moment.
Right.
Ghazali highlights this problem to show that maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't actually eternal.
Okay, this Hilbert's Hotel is giving me a serious existential crisis.
It's a lot.
But didn't Ghazali have another argument against the whole eternal universe thing?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
This one takes us on a little trip through our solar system.
All right.
Picture Saturn and Jupiter cruising around the sun.
Love those gas giants.
Yeah.
Always wanted to take a spaceship tour.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, for every one lap Saturn makes around the sun, Jupiter completes 2.
Okay.
It's like a cosmic marathon where Jupiter's always winning.
Makes sense. Jupiter's a bigger, faster brother.
Right.
But how does that prove anything about the universe's age?
Here's the kicker.
Okay.
Imagine those planets have been orbiting for, well, forever.
Yeah.
An infinite amount of time. How many orbits would each have completed?
An infinite number.
Yeah.
Since, infinity goes on forever.
Right. But if they've both finished an infinite number of orbits, wouldn't they be tied in this cosmic race?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yet we know Jupiter orbits faster, so it should always be ahead.
Wait, that doesn't add up.
I know, right?
It's like saying you ran an infinite number of miles,
Yeah.
but still finished behind someone who also ran an infinite number of miles.
Right.
How is that possible?
Exactly. Ghazali uses this to show us how applying infinity to the real world creates these paradoxes.
Oh, wow.
It's like trying to fit a square block into a round hole.
Okay, so Ghazali is basically saying, look, this whole infinite universe thing doesn't really make sense when you think about it.
Right.
But weren't people back then like, hold on, Ghazali, are you sure about this?
Oh, absolutely. There were definitely folks who had their doubts.
Right.
Some argued that the hotel analogy was flawed because past events don't all exist at the same time, like rooms in a hotel.
Oh, that's true.
It's not like every Tuesday from the past is happening right now, right?
It's a good point.
Right.
It's not like history is just one giant, never-ending crowdie with all our ancestors hanging out together.
Exactly.
But, okay, so how did he respond to that?
But Ghazali had a clever response to that.
Okay.
He said, imagine the hotel was built one room per year.
Right.
Going all the way back to, well, forever.
Uh-huh.
How many rooms would it have now?
Still an infinite number, right? Even if they were built one at a time, forever is a long time.
Exactly. So even if you spread those events over time, you still end up with an infinite number if the past is eternal.
Okay, so that hotel analogy is pretty tough to debunk. But did anyone try to defend the idea that infinity actually exists in the real world?
They did. Some pointed to things like numbers.
Right.
Numbers seem to go on forever, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and on and on.
Yeah.
Surely that's proof of infinity, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I always thought. Numbers are like the ultimate never-ending story.
True, but even the very existence of numbers is debated by philosophers.
Right.
Some believe numbers are just concepts,
Okay.
not actual things that exist in the real world, like trees or tacos.
Oh, wait, are you saying numbers might not even be real? That's blowing my mind.
It's a philosophical rabbit hole for sure.
Okay.
But the point is,
Yeah.
even if numbers go on forever, that doesn't necessarily mean the universe has always existed.
Okay.
Ghazali's arguments show us just how tricky it is to try and fit this idea of a completed infinity into the universe we experience.
Okay, let's take a step back and recap.
Okay.
Ghazali throws out these thought experiments with the infinite hotel and the orbiting planets to show the problems with an eternal past.
Right.
He even has comebacks for the folks who try to argue against him.
Yeah. And all of this leads to a pretty big conclusion.
Okay.
If those arguments hold water,
Mm-hmm.
then the universe isn't eternal.
Okay.
It had a beginning.
And if something has a beginning, that means something had to kick it off right.
Right.
Like what started the whole universe party?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's one that takes us right to the doorstep of another mind-blowing concept. The first cause.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. First cause. Is that like the ultimate cosmic party starter?
You could say that, but before we dive into that,
Okay.
let's look at a different idea.
Okay.
One proposed by atheist philosopher Daniel Dennett.
Okay, lay it on me.
Yeah.
What did Dennett have to say about all this?
Well, he suggested that maybe, just maybe, the universe caused itself.
Wait, hold up. How can something cause itself to exist?
Right.
That's like saying I was born before I was born.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And that's the main problem with Dennett's idea.
Okay.
It's like a snake trying to swallow its own tail. It just leads to a logical loop. Right. You can't have something creating itself because it would need to exist before it existed, which is impossible.
Okay, so self-creation is out the window.
Yeah.
If the universe didn't just appear out of nowhere
Right.
and it didn't create itself, what other options are left?
That's where things get really interesting because it leads us to the possibility of a cause outside the universe.
You mean something beyond our comprehension, beyond space and time?
Precisely. Something that exists outside of the universe as we know it.
Now we're talking. So if the universe wasn't eternal and didn't create itself,
Right.
are we saying it had to be created by something else, something bigger?
That's the question Ghazali's arguments point us towards.
Okay.
And the idea of a cause outside the universe, something that exists beyond our normal understanding of space and time,
Yeah.
well, that aligns with many traditional descriptions of God.
Well, hold on. Are we saying that by exploring these philosophical arguments about infinity and the universe's beginning, we're actually getting closer to understanding the idea of a creator?
That's the beauty of philosophy.
Oh, wow.
It challenges us to think critically and consider all possibilities.
Right.
And in this case,
Yeah.
it leads us to a pretty profound question.
What's that?
Could the first cause, the ultimate origin of the universe, be something or someone beyond our current understanding?
Okay. I'm catching my breath after that wild ride through infinity and planetary orbits.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
So we've established that this whole eternal universe idea has some pretty big holes, thanks to Al-Ghazali and his brilliant thought experiments.
Right. Those infinite hotels and cosmic marathons definitely make you rethink things.
For sure. And if we accept that the universe had a beginning, that it wasn't just hanging out forever, then we're naturally led to this idea of a first cause.
Exactly. Something had to kickstart the whole universe shebang.
So what exactly do we mean by first cause? Is it like the very first domino that sets everything else in motion?
That's a great way to put it. It's the ultimate source, the origin point of everything in the universe.
Okay.
The thing that set the wheels in motion, but is itself uncaused.
Okay.
Not part of the chain reaction, but the initiator.
Okay, so it's not like a domino effect where one thing leads to another. The first cause is the original domino, the one nobody pushed over.
Exactly. And this idea of a first cause, something uncaused that caused everything else, has some pretty interesting implications when we think about the existence of God.
Okay, I'm seeing where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So how does this first cause idea connect to the idea of God?
Well, remember how we ruled out the universe causing itself?
Yeah.
It just leads to a paradox.
Right.
So if we can't explain the universe's beginning from within the universe itself, that leaves us looking for an explanation outside of it.
Something beyond our understanding of space and time since it created those very things.
Exactly. And think about the characteristics often attributed to this first cause.
Right.
Eternal, uncaused, all-powerful.
Yeah.
Those sound pretty familiar, don't they?
Whoa, yeah. Those are some of the classic ways we describe God.
Exactly. It's not surprising that many philosophers and theologians throughout history have seen a strong connection between the first cause and the idea of a creator. We've been looking at this through the lens of logic and philosophy. But there's another source of wisdom that speaks to this idea: Scripture.
You mean the Bible?
Yeah.
What does it have to say about all this?
The Bible is packed with verses that align with these philosophical ideas, right from the start. In Genesis 1, verse 1, we read, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth."
Wow. Straight to the point. Beginning and a creator. Right there in the first verse.
Exactly. And there's so much more. Psalm 90, verse 2 tells us that God exists outside of time. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hadst formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting thou art God.
So God was around before the universe even began. That definitely backs up what we've been talking about. Are there other verses that say similar things?
Oh, yeah. Tons. Isaiah 46, verses 9 and 10 talk about God knowing the end from the beginning, showing he's not limited by time like we are. Colossians 1, verses 16 and 17 explain that everything was created in God and through God, making him the ultimate cause. And Acts 17, verses 24 and 25 emphasize that God not only created the universe, but he also sustains it and gives us life.
It's incredible how these ancient scriptures line up with these mind-blowing ideas about infinity and the beginning of everything. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that's what we're all about here on Rooted and Reasoned, helping you think deeply about the big questions.
Yeah, it really does. It really makes you think. This whole idea of infinity has really challenged the way I see the universe.
It's amazing, isn't it? And the more we explore these big questions, the more we discover just how much we don't know.
So, if the universe didn't exist forever, and it couldn't have created itself, where do we go from here? What's the next step in figuring out whether God actually exists?
Well, in our next episode, we're diving into something called the fine-tuning argument.
Fine-tuning? What's that all about?
It's this crazy idea that the universe seems perfectly set up for life to exist. Like the laws of physics and the values of these things called fundamental constants are just right.
Wait, so you're saying it's not just a random coincidence that we're here?
That's what the fine-tuning argument suggests. We'll be exploring all the evidence and what it means for the existence of God.
That sounds super interesting. I can't wait to learn more.
I'm excited to dive into it with you.
Well, my brain is definitely full after this deep dive. It's awesome to see how logic, philosophy, and even science can lead us to think differently about the universe and the possibility of a creator.
Totally. And remember, these are big questions, questions that people have been pondering for centuries. There are no easy answers, and it's okay to have doubts and to keep searching.
I think our listeners are going to have a lot to chew on after this one. Do you believe in an infinite past? What do you think caused the universe? We've only just scratched the surface here.
That's right. Keep those questions in mind. And be sure to join us for our next episode, where we'll continue this incredible journey of exploring whether God exists.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Rooted and Reasoned wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll be back soon with another episode where faith meets thoughtful inquiry. Until then, keep seeking the truth,